For more on this story, let's cross to Kyiv and speak to Volodymyr Yermolenko, a Ukrainian philosopher and the chief editor of UkraineWorld. Thank you for speaking to France 24. In the aftermath of this attack, is there any evidence that could point to who carried out the strikes?
Well, look, Russians are controlling this nuclear power plant, which is the biggest in Europe. And they actually take this nuclear power plant as their military object, as their shield, if you want. So, of course, they can do anything there. They can do shellings, they can do strikes, and then blame the Ukrainians. All we have to do right now is to make the demilitarized zone around this nuclear power plant and just push Russians back. And this is, of course, very important.
Making a demilitarized zone is something the United States has been calling for, among other countries. But is that realistic? Is there any reason why Russia might agree to that?
Well, look, we don't know because, as you have seen in March, for example, Russians have taken the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, which is not working, obviously, which is the place of a huge nuclear disaster in '86, as we all know. And they already made these tactics. So they really are doing in the tactics of the nuclear terrorism, taking a nuclear power plant as a hostage and then threatening everybody to blow the things up. This is Russian tactics right now in Ukraine, unfortunately. It's not a tactic just of a simple war. It's a tactic of terrorism, of state-sponsored terrorism on a huge scale, when nuclear power plants are taken as hostages.
Yeah, and there certainly is a lot of alarm. The UN's nuclear watchdog claims there's a real risk of nuclear disaster. What damage would the Zaporizhzhia plant have to incur for that scenario to play out?
Well, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is the biggest in Europe. I think it's second largest in the world. So if there is something is happening, you can imagine how many territories are actually damaged. This will be much bigger disaster than Chernobyl in '86, and that's a big problem. So it will be a problem for Ukraine, it will be a problem for Russia, it will be a problem for Europe, it will be a problem for the Black Sea region because it's not that far away from the Black Sea coast.
Are you familiar with the conditions of the Zaporizhzhia staff at the occupied plant?
Well, we don't know the details, but it seems that they taken as hostages. They are not really permitted to leave the plant. They are working without rest, and they're just taking hostages by the Russian soldiers.
And why is the International Atomic Energy Agency being denied access to Zaporizhzhia? It's asked repeatedly to investigate the site to make sure the situation is safe.
Well, I think we should pose this question to Russians. Why, for example, when Russians killed Ukrainian prisoners of war, of over 50 people in the occupied Donetsk region, blamed Ukraine for the strike, but didn't let anybody to enter and to check the situation there? Why Russians kicked off all the human rights organizations from the occupied territories since 2014 and did not let them check the situation, or international media? This is the same reason why they are not letting international institutions to enter the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, because they know that they are to blame. They are actually guilty of this situation.
Volodymyr, thank you very much for your time and your analysis. Volodymyr Yermolenko speaking to us from Kyiv.